Hey, it's Chris Myers. I'm going to talk today about catching sea trout, mainly in Mosquito Lagoon in the North Indian River, but it works throughout the state of Florida. I'm sure it's going to work all up and down the East Coast and Gulf Coast. Wherever sea trout live, these same techniques will work. And if I could only take one lure, it would be a shad tail. Here I have my DOA Cal 3-inch shad tail on a jig head. I can vary the size of the jig head according to how deep the water is, if the water's moving. Generally, I don't use more than an 1/8 ounce over here in Mosquito Lagoon. But where you're fishing, it might be slightly deeper. The water might be moving. You might need a 1/4 ounce. You might need even more than that. But that's why this jig is so versatile. I can change the size of the jig head, use the same lure. I find that a lot of people are much more concerned about what color they're using and not what they're doing with it. And I've found that what you do with this thing is way more important than what color it is. Yesterday we went on a trip, pulled up to a spot at the end of the day. I said, I'm right there on this color change. You can catch fish almost every cast. They were throwing up there, weren't getting the bites. I picked up a rod, had a different color on it, but it's the same size lure. Boom, hooked a fish. Every cast I was at least getting a bite. Gave one guy the rod I was using. I took the rod he was using, which had this lure on it. He wasn't getting any bites. I threw out in the same spots he was getting. Bite every cast. But it was because how I was working this was slightly different than what he was doing, and not that it was a different color. I'm going to show you what works for me, and maybe you'll find it'll help you catch some more fish too. What we want this lure to do is hop up and then dive back down. And for sea trout, it needs to be near the bottom for the most bites. You will get some bites on the top, you'll get some bites mid-water, you'll see them bite right next to the boat on the surface, but majority of the bites come while this thing is on or near the bottom. And I'm going to hop it up, let it fall back down. Almost all the bites come while it's dropping and not while I'm twitching it up. So what I'm going to do with this, throw it out. The second it stops, I'm stopping the line with my finger, get my bail closed, I let it sink down, keeping my rod tip up here. I want this line from the tip of my rod to my lure to always be tight the entire time I'm fishing. So what I don't want to do is twitch it up and throw my rod down. Now I'm going to constantly wrap my tip, but I don't feel any of those fish that grab it and spit it right back out because I don't have any tension on here, so I would never even known that they bit. What I'm going to do is give a couple twitches, a couple turns. So I twitch it, now it's sinking back down, I'm dropping my tip. I twitch it up, I drop my tip, but I'm only moving my rod a foot or less. What I'm not doing is this, pick it up, drop it, pick it up, drop it. You're going to miss bites, you're not going to feel the fish, you're going to wrap your tip, you're going to put line on your spool loose, you're going to get knots in your braid. Let it sink down. Twitch, reel. Now the deeper the water, the longer I'm going to let it sink. If it's 3 or 4 feet, let it get all the way down to that bottom. Right as it's getting on the bottom is usually when I get my bites. I'll twitch it up, sink, 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 sink. Now, just as it's getting by the bottom. So if you're not getting bites using this technique, you're probably not letting it get all the way to the bottom. And if you're not keeping your line tight, they'll grab it, spit it out, you never even knew you had them. So try this technique, get that thing hopping up and down. This little 3-inch Cal has caught me thousands of trout. I've unhooked thousands of fish off this lure. Let it sink down, twitch, reel, twitch, reel. So I give it 1 or 2 twitches and not pulls. Check out that technique for you. I think you'll find you'll be catching a lot more trout on your fishing trips.